Hi everyone, thanks for joining today's Salesforce LWC training from SV TechSoft. Our trainer is Asis. He will take over for today's demo. Yeah,
Okay.
Asis, can you
Yeah,
please share your screen and
yes,
start?
Thanks, Keshav. Okay. Can you make me host so that I can share your screen?
Can you
Share
share
my
it?
screen.
Can you share it?
No, you need to make
Okay.
me host. Then only I will be able to see.
Yeah, I did it.
Okay.
Yeah, now we
Yeah.
can share.
All right. So thanks everyone. Thanks for joining this demo and thanks Subham for arranging this meeting. So before we start, let me introduce myself. So myself Asis, and I have a total of 8+ years of working experience in Salesforce technology, and currently I'm working as a team lead at Accenture, and I have primarily worked on the LWC, and I've been an LWC trainer as well. So that's about me. So let me start with the demo. So you might have already received the syllabus. If not, so let me guide you. So for the training content, so this is the content that we will be taking. I mean, we will start from the very scratch. Like we will also take some of the basics of JavaScript and HTML, as LWC requires those basics. So what is the components, setup, authorizations? Then we will start with the one-way binding, two-way binding, all the different tags we have, then the decorators that we have in LWC. We will see the CSS structure, then parent to child, child to parent communications, pub sub using Lightning messaging services, and Lightning data services. So everything we will be covering in detail. So let's start with today's agenda and today's session. So for that, today's session, let me start with a sample project and then I will tell you more in details. So for LWC, we do our coding in the VS Code editor. So let me tell you first thing. So three things you need to know, you need to have in order to start your LWC project. So first you need to have a VS Code editor. We need to download the Salesforce CLI, and we need to install the extensions pack and set up the environment variables for the basic setup. So I will guide you on this. I mean, as we will proceed further with the training. So we all know, like when we started our Salesforce journey, so earlier Salesforce has this classic framework. So for classic, like we used to do our coding in Visual Force. But later Salesforce came up with this Lightning framework. And in Lightning, Salesforce has Aura, and then Salesforce came up with LWC. So why LWC, first of all? So earlier we had this Aura framework, but with Aura framework, like there was too much of abstraction. It was not that much close to browser. And we know that in Lightning, we usually create single page applications. And for single page applications, like there are already some of the, like you see, like React is there, Angular is there. So Salesforce thought of coming up some framework of its own, which uses the features of HTML and JavaScript so that it can match with Angular and React. And you know that Angular React, they have a dependency for their backend on Java or .NET or any other programming language. But Salesforce has its own programming language. So everything will be within the premise of Salesforce only. So that's why Salesforce came up with this LWC. And LWC uses the latest features of JavaScript and HTML. So that's why around 2019, Salesforce came up with this LWC framework. So let me quickly start with the first project and then we will see. Another thing in Lightning programming, like it's a component driven programming. When I say component driven programming, so let's say if I open any of the applications, so in any application, like you see, let me open any of the existing. Suppose let's say this Sales Cloud application I'm opening. So if I let's say if I open any of the records, let's say this page that you are seeing, this is an app page. Again, if I click on this record, you see this particular page is divided into multiple sections. Like you see at the top, we have this section. Then this is one section. On the right hand side, you see this section. So each single building blocks of your page, basically this is a component. And in LWC, we create our components, and component driven programming we do. And that's how we build our design. So whenever you need to do any customizations in your design, so for that, you need to have any front end framework. And that's why we are here for LWC. So let's quickly start. So let me launch VS Code. Okay, let me open a new project. Just a second. So let's go to, let me close this one, the existing one. So view, command palette, and I'm going to create a project, an LWC project. So let me create it. Standard project template, and let's say I'm calling this, let's say LWC 21st December demo. That is the project name. Let it get created, and then I will talk further about the structure that we have, the project structure and everything. So once you create your project, LWC project, so this is the hierarchy that you will be getting. I'm going to talk about further about it. Like I told you, in LWC, like whatever programming you do, it's a component driven programming. So we will be creating components first. And here we follow the MVC architecture. I'm coming to this MVC architecture. First, let me create a component. So right now, if you see, when I created this project, here you see no default org set, because even right now I haven't authorized my VS Code editor to deploy my code changes to my Salesforce org. So for that, you need to do the authorizations. Once we will see the installation setup, so then I will guide you how to do that authorizations. In my system, I have already done it. So let me go to the command palette. Let it get loaded. And here you see this option, authorize and org. Type it, project default, and any alias you can give. Let's say I'm giving it as SF. Let it get launched. So it will take you to the login page of your Salesforce, and you need to authorize it to your org. For the first time, it might ask you some like your OTP that for the mobile number that you have used. Otherwise, it will be fine. Let's come back. So when you see, okay, and now let me create a component. Now it is authorized. You see that my VS Code is authorized to deploy my code changes to my org. Let me go to the command palette, and let's create a lightning web a web component. A component. Let's say I'm giving it a name. Let's say hello component. Okay, now let's understand the structure that we have in LWC programming. So if you see, when I created this component, so by default, you see, first we have this LWC folder, and under this LWC folder, you see we have this, when I created this component, we get this HTML, then we got this JS file, we have this meta XML file. Let's try to understand the meaning of this, and then we'll proceed further. So in LWC programming, basically we follow this MVC architecture. What is this MVC architecture? Try to understand. So MVC stands for model, view, and controller. Now, what is your view? So view is what actually the end user will be seeing, like any changes that you do for your UI. Like if you see here, so here I have this HTML page. Whatever changes you do in this on this HTML page, so that's something which the end user will be seeing on the UI. And this exactly comes under your view part, means what you wanted to show to the end user. Coming to the controller part, so controller is like your entry point to your applications. Like if you need to do some validations at the client end, so those things also we can do in the controller end. So if you see here, when I created this component, so you see here I have a JS file. This JavaScript file is basically your controller, the client side controller. Whatever, let's say you need to invoke your Apex classes, how to do those things we will see as we proceed with the training. But how to invoke your Apex classes, any validation that you need to do at the client end, at the browser end, every logic we will be writing here in this JS controller. Also, we have a server side controller. If you see under this project architecture, project structure, here we have these classes. Once we will proceed further, so then you will see under these classes, whenever you need to create any Apex classes, let's say you wanted to do some manipulations at the DB and you need to call your, like fetch the data from your custom objects or standard objects. So all those logics we'll be writing in our Apex class that will be residing over here. That comes under your server side controller. So controller is the entry point. Now, what is the model? So model is basically from where your actual data resides, like your custom objects, your standard objects that you create within Salesforce. So those are your models. So basically what happens, controller fetches the data from your model and then transfers the data to your view. And that's how the end user sees the data onto the view. So this is the MVC architecture that we see in Sales LWC. And that's what here. So here this HTML is basically your view part. JS is your controller part, and in meta XML, we will see whenever you need to do some configuration changes. So for that, we use this meta XML. Okay. Here, if you go further, this SFDC project.json. So you see the SFDC login URL. When I authorize my org initially, so you might have seen that it took us to this page, login page. When you will be working in real projects, so there, whatever sandbox URL that you have, so that we will be providing here, so it will take to that environment. That is this file. Another, if you have to add any script, you can add under this SOQL. We have this package.json. So all the dependencies that we needed, so everything is available over here. So that's what we will be using. Again, you see this __ test folder. So in Lightning Web Component, if you are creating any component, and for that, if you need to write your unit test cases, so for that we do this, we do those changes here. And for unit testing in LWC, we use Jest framework. So we will be seeing that further. Now, right now, if you see, I have created this component, but no coding I have done, nothing has been done, right? Let's say I want to create some. Okay, by the way, before that also, let's proceed something. In LWC, like there are some naming conventions that needs to be kept in mind. Like when you are creating your component, so it always follows camel casing, always follow camel casings. What is camel casing? So the first letter of the first word has to be small, and all the subsequent word has to be capital. Like you see, hello component I created. So H I have kept as small, and for the subsequent word component, I have kept C as a capital. You see this? Now, the second is your Pascal casing. Pascal casing means every word, each first letter of each and every word has to be capital. So when I created this component, so you see the name of the component, I kept this first letter as small, but the controller class that got created, here you see each letter is capital. That's what we are seeing over here. Okay. So this is the camel casing, and third is the kebab casing, which we see in the parent to child and child to parent communication that comes at a later stage. Okay. Now, if I created this component, so you see here, what is the first statement? The first statement is import lightning element from LWC. What does this line means? So this means basically this is your LWC module, and for your lightning programming, whatever libraries, whatever tags you will be using, first thing it imports those things from this LWC module within your controller so that we can use them within our controller. Okay. And that's why we see when you created this component, hello component, so it extends this lightning element so that all those things, the libraries that we get as part of our LWC module, so that becomes part of this controller. So that's why. Everyone able to follow till now? All right. So if no doubts, let's proceed. So let's say I want.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's say I want to create, do some changes, and I wanted to see how we can deploy those changes within our org. So let's say within this template tag, I'm going to create a header tag. And let's say I'm typing, hello, hi, welcome to LWC programming. Okay. A very simple static text. This H1 tag is basically HTML tag, header tag. It basically for using any header, you use this H1 tag. This is my HTML page. Within the JavaScript, till now, I haven't written a single line of code. Let's say I wanted to deploy this component so that I can use this within my Lightning application within my org. How do we do that? So here comes your meta XML file. So you see this meta XML file. So by default, under your meta XML file, what do you see? It says is expose equals to false. What does this mean? Is expose equals to false means your component is not visible, not available for use within your org. So if you want to use this component, so first thing you need to do, you need to set this is expose equals to true. Then only you will be able to use it within your applications. Another thing, where you wanted to use your component, like your component cannot exist independently. They have to be part of either your home page or app pages or your record pages. How to create app page, record page, just now we are going to see. So the second thing you need to configuration that you need to change within your component is to specify like what is the target where you wanted to use. So let's say specify here. So let's say I'm specifying here targets, and target I wanted to use it within an app page. That's it. My first component is created and I have exposed this component. I wanted to use this component within an app page. That's why here I have specified. Now let's deploy this component. How do we deploy? Simply right click, deploy this source to org. Let it get deployed. So you see this success message. That means our component is deployed successfully right now and it's available for our use purpose. Let's come here within your Salesforce environment. So I have already created one Lightning application. So I'm going to use this for the demo purpose. So let's say I have this LWC demo. Let me open this. And I wanted to, like just now, this component, I wanted to use it within this application. How do we do it? So like I told you, what is the target that you have specified over here? The target that I have specified over here is Lightning app page. That means I wanted to use this component within an app page. So let's come here. Let's go to the setup and let's create an app page. So under the setup, if you come to this quick search, just type here Lightning app builder. Let's come here. And I am going to create an app page so that we can use this component within that app page. Click on new. Let it get loaded. So I want to create an app page. Let's click on next. What is the name of the page? So let's say I'm calling this page name as, let's say, LWC training. Click on next. What is the design? Let's say I want this 3 regions design. Click on finish. Save it. Activate. Where do you wanted to use this page? Let's say I wanted to use this page within the application that I have created. What is the application I have created? I have created this LWC demo. Let's add this. Add page to the app. Save it. Now, if I go to my application, let me close this. One sec. If I go to this, where it is? Let's go to my application, LWC demo. So you see here I have this app page, LWC training added, but right now you see this page is totally blank. Nothing, no designing is there. What I wanted to use this component which I have created to use within my app. And what is that component doing? In this component, just now I am put one static text, this which I wanted to use. So let's go back. So here I have already opened this. So remember this thing. Whenever you put this, like is expose equals to true and target as Lightning app page. So that means your component is now available for use within your org. And just because here we have a specified target equals to true, I mean is expose equals to true and the target as app page. So you see here on the left hand side, you see all the components that you have within your org, they are listed. Like the standard means which are already available. And the custom means which we have created. So in my org, I had already created these many components. So that's why these are available for use. Right now, what is the component we created? We just created this hello component. So let's use it. So let's come here and let's drag and drop our hello component. So what is the name of our component? Hello component. So let's come here. This is the component. Let's drag and drop it. Save it. Let's come to this. Let's refresh. So what do you see? Hi, welcome to LWC programming. And this is exactly the text that I have written within my HTML page. And that's within my HTML component. And now that is available within my component. Everyone able to understand till now?
Yeah, one doubt here. There is
Yes.
this test folder, right? So do we need to do any test coverage for this? Like
Yes,
normally,
yes.
normally,
I mean, okay.
normally,
So,
if you create any Apex class, we need to have 70% of code coverage,
okay.
right? So do we need to do that same code coverage for this Lightning components also?
Okay. So in Lightning, it's not that like you need to do like 75% code coverage and something, because for LWC testing, like you are doing it in the VS Code editor, right? And not all the project mandates also unit testing. But here for your component testing, we have this framework, which is Jest framework. And that framework is used by Angular. React is also using. It's a different framework. It's not that Salesforce framework it is. So we will be using, and there is no such thing like you need to have code coverage or another thing. Okay. It's not like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
And when we will be seeing, I mean, we will also, I mean, if we proceed with the training, so we'll have also one session on this unit testing, just for using Jest framework. So that's what we use. So there I will explain about this. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So you see, this is the static text that we are seeing right now. Now you see the text that we are seeing over here, this text does not look good, right? We want to have it to look some better manner. How do we do that? So in LWC, we can create cards. What is a card? So card you can think as of a placeholder, like a white area where you can put your element. Let me create it and then I will explain further. So let's say I'm going to create a card. How do we create card? So for creation of card, you already have this tag lightning card, and this already available as part of this lightning element, which we have imported from this LWC module. So let's create a card. So for creation of a card, we use this card, lightning card, CRD, lightning card. And let's put this static text that we have created, let's put it inside the card and let's see how it looks. Save it, right click, deploy, and let's see how it looks. Let's refresh. Now you see this white area, this white box. This white box is appearing because of the card that we have created, and it will automatically, like, the height and width will change based on the amount of text and the data that you are like putting in. So that's why this white area that you are saying, this container, is basically your lightning card that we just now created. Another thing that we observe right now, the text that we have written, if you see, this is shifted towards left. I wanted to shift it slightly towards the right. So in LWC framework, like if you need to add any CSS changes, we can do external CSS, and that we will see in the training also. But as part of our, in LWC framework, we have this Lightning Design System. And as part of the Lightning Design System, we got some SLDS classes for adding the margins. And if you go to this LWC documentation, they have very beautiful documentation where you will find everything. Let's say you want to search about margins. How can we add margins? So if I go here, just search here margin on this Lightning Design System. So you will see here, let it get loaded. So let's say you want from top some margin. This is the SLDS class you can use. You want some margin from the left. These are the SLDS classes you can use. Okay. So I want to add some margin from the left hand side. So I'm going to make use of these SLDS classes. Let's say I wanted to add some medium margin. So I'll use these SLDS classes. So let's come back. And what I'm going to do, let me create a div. So creating a div. And let's put this entire header tag that we have created, let's put it inside the div. Control X, and I'm putting it here inside. Let's say Control V. Let's save it. Let's say I wanted to add some margin. Use class, and I'm going to use this margin SLDS classes. So SLDS -m, Control C. And let's say from the left hand side, I wanted to have some margin. I'm adding a medium margin. Right click, deploy, and let's see how it looks. Deployed. Let's come here. Let's come back to our page and let's see how it looks. Okay, let me close this many tabs. Let's refresh. So what do you see? The text is shifted slightly towards the right. That is because of this margin that we have added. Okay. Another thing, if you see right now the JavaScript file, we haven't added any code within our JavaScript file, right? Now what I wanted to write some code within our JavaScript file. So let's see here. Let's say within the JavaScript, I wanted to create a property. What is meant by a property? So you can tell them property as an attribute or as a variable which we create to store something. Okay. And you can directly write the name of the property and you can store. And we know that JavaScript is like a weakly type language. Here you don't have the concepts of data type. Like in Apex, you have the data types like double, boolean, integer, strings, other data types. But here, whatever value you simply assign, that's how it will be treated. So let's say I want to create a type variable, or we can say it's a property with the name, let's say greet message. And to this property, let's say I wanted to assign some value. Let's say I'm assigning value. Let's say LWC programming. Save it. Now I wanted to use this property within my HTML. How can we use it? So right now, this is I have written. Na? So if you wanted to use your JavaScript property within your HTML page, so for that, what you can do? You can use this string interpolation, these curly braces, okay? And you can directly put your properties. So if you wanted to use the JS property within your HTML, let's put it over here within this curly braces. And this is called one-way binding. Means the JavaScript property you wanted to render on your UI within your HTML. So you need to put it using string interpolation within this curly braces. And that's what we are doing over here, the greet message. Right click and deploy, and let's see how it looks. Deployed. Let's come here. Refresh. So LWC program is still appearing. Now the greet message property, whatever the value we had within this greet message, now that is rendered. Okay. Let's say what I wanted to create an HTML element and I wanted to change the value of this greet message because right now it is a static. I wanted to change this value and see how it looks, how it behaves. So let's see this. I am going to create a text box. Let me create a text box. So for creating a text box, in LWC framework, we have this lightning input tag, which you can use to create a text box. So I'm going to make use of this. So I'm going to create a text box. What is the name of text box? Let's say lightning input. Type. I wanted to create a text box. So I'm giving the type as text. Okay. Label. Let's say, what is the label? So let's say label I'm giving like enter your message. Your message. And what I wanted on change of this, whenever any user types something within this text box, I want to call a JavaScript function where I can write some logic. So I'm going to make use of this on change event. We will have one separate session on JavaScript as well, where we will talk about the various system events that we have, like we have on change, on click, on mouse over, on key up, on key down. We will talk about further about them. For the time being, understand the meaning of on change means like when you create a text box here within your HTML, and once the user starts typing anything into this text box, so then this on change event gets fired. And in this on change event, what you wanted to do? I wanted to write a JS function. I wanted to call a JavaScript function. How can we call it? So I'm going to call it the JS function, let's say as handle change. This is the JavaScript function which I wanted to use. Let's define the logic of this JavaScript function. What you wanted to do in this JS? Let's come to the JS. So coming to this handle change. And within this handle change, what I wanted to change the value of this greet message property. So if you wanted to change the value of this greet message property, what you can do? You can pass the event to your JS function. My handle change is function. In the functions, the JavaScript function that I am writing over here. Where is it getting invoked? So this is getting invoked on this on change event, right? So that means the event that I have passed to this handle chain. So that event is basically referring to this text message element. Okay. Whatever you are typing in this text box, this on change event will get fired. And that's what instance you are getting in this event. Now, what I wanted to change the value of this greet message property. So how can we access this greet? So see this. Your greet message property is part of this JavaScript file only. So if you wanted to use your JS class like properties within your function, you use this keyword, this keyword. This means we are referring to a property of this JavaScript controller class only. So this dot greet message. And what do you want it to do with this greet message? So whatever the user is typing within this text box, so that value I wanted to assign to my greet message property. So how we can use this? So for that, you can type here event dot target dot value. What does that mean? So that means what will happen? This event is basically an instance of this on change that is getting fired on this, like the text box. And event.target, when I'm typing, so event.target means it is pointing to this value that the user will be typing on this text box. And I'm taking that input event.target.value. And that value, what I am doing, I am assigning to this greet message property. So what will happen when the component gets loaded for the first time? So to your greet message property, you have the value LWC programming. And as soon as the user starts typing in the text box, so then this handle change event gets fired. And on the handle change event, what happens? Basically, the value of your greet message changes with the value that the user is typing in the text box. And this is called your two-way binding. Means your JS property, you wanted to change within your from your HTML elements and you wanted to access them. This is the two-way binding. Earlier, we were using the JS property directly within our HTML. Now the JavaScript property I wanted to change by by calling a JavaScript functions on the events. So that's what we are doing over here. Let's deploy and let's see how it looks. So now if you refresh, let's have a look at it, how it looks. So what is happening? So when the component is loaded for the first time, what is the message you are saying? Hi, welcome to the LWC programming. And you see this text box. We are seeing welcome to LWC programming because the greet message has the value LWC programming. And that's what is rendered over here. But I have a text box. And this is the text box. And now once I start typing in this text box, let's say this on change event will get fired. And on change event, what will do? Handle change will get fired. In the handle change, I pass the event and event.target.value. That means the value of my HTML element. You see this, I'm writing a Apex programming. So the value of my HTML element text box that gets assigned to this greet message property, and that's what that gets rendered on the UI, and that's why here it is changing. Everyone able to understand this?
Yes.
Okay. So that's it for the demo. If you have any doubts, you can ask. I mean, regarding the trainings, duration, I will tell you. So entire LWC, it takes around 18 to 20 sessions. Okay. Along with the syllabus, if you haven't received, maybe Kishore can share you the syllabus. So I take some extra sessions also, some extra topics like I take topics of calling the external REST API. I will take one session on the JEST unit testing. Okay, because nowadays some of the projects are asking for that also, and some advanced concepts like maps and all those also I will be taking. Okay, Subham is also there, so he is also working in the Salesforce domain. He might also take. He will be also working as a co-trainer. He will help as a helper. He will be there for doubts and for some sessions he might be chipping. But I will be the main trainer. Okay.
Okay. One doubt here.
Yes.
So as you said, like there is a difference between Aura and LWC, right? Like with Aura, we can do like almost everything what LWC is doing. But why we are going to LWC? Like I understand that
Yes.
there is this web standards like or like LWC has the latest web standards. But apart from that, like what else we have
Yeah.
on to the LWC?
Okay. So in Aura, like the components that you are using, the tags that we use in our Aura, so there like some abstraction is there. But if you see this LWC, look at the syntax of LWC, it directly uses your JavaScript and HTML features. This is JS file only. It is more close to the browser because everything you are using is JavaScript and HTML only. So whatever the inbuilt security features of your browser, that also gets applied to your LWC component, which is not there in case of Aura programming. That's why LWC is more secured and LWC is more faster. That's another reason. One more reason I can tell you, let's say like any programming, web programming you are doing. So for like, client in designing your pages, we like HTML and JavaScript is something that is like that's what the browser understands, right? And here you're using HTML only. Right, so those standards are available over here. There is no like abstraction, directly it is being used. So that's why it is more secure and more faster. Also, if you see like for single page application in the market, like says like Angular is there, React is there. So they are giving tough competition. So Salesforce thought of some coming up with some framework which is more close to those frameworks, because those frameworks entirely rely on your HTML and more of the JS features. And if you see this LWC, this is also more your HTML and JavaScript coding only. So even if someone is having slight knowledge of like JavaScript, HTML, or like the concept that you will be learning about, like the components, component communication, everything, many of the similar things are similar to Angular and React. Another benefit here, we have Apex also. So for the backend also, there is no dependency. So it's basically you are getting a complete package that can act as a complete replacement for your Angular, React, the single page applications framework that we have within the market. So that's another reason why Salesforce came up with this LWC framework, and like it is going to decommission Aura.
Okay.
Ashish, I've got a quick question. Sorry.
Yes.
So is LWC a complete replacement of Aura, or is there any instance that we need to use Aura in LWC at all?
So see, like the existing application that you are seeing right now, so There are features in Aura, but right now, whatever new developments are being done, so we are preferring LWC. Reason being because slowly Aura will be decommissioned. Like Visual Force is going to be decommissioned completely within
Yeah.
1 or 2 years. And even Aura will be decommissioned. Like you will see within the next 2-3 years or 5 years, let's say at max, everything will be decommissioned and it will switch to LWC only. So it's not that you can, like in Aura, you can use LWC. In LWC, we don't use that. And also LWC is easier as compared to Aura programming.
Yep.
And it is more faster. So going ahead, I mean, any new developments that are being done, so that are done in LWC. And if you go by the job market scenario, right now, there is a very huge demand for LWC developers. So
And
Okay.
yeah, and one more thing, like the same way, like how Visual Force and Aura are getting decommissioned. Like, is there any chance like LWC is also getting decommissioned,
see-
and there any other
Mhm.
skill in the
So
future? I
see,
mean, next
see,
5 to
like
10 years.
we all know that Salesforce always comes up with their different releases, like they have 3 releases, everything. So we don't know, like IT, everything technology is evolving, right? So might be in future, 10 years down the line, some better framework will come, which will be even more. Right now, flows are coming, right? Many of the customizations that we are doing with the coding, you can do with the help of flows only. So no one knows, in future, maybe Salesforce come up with some own framework, some other framework. So that is possible. That happens with any programming language, right? Like when in future things comes up, so those things get changed. But right now, LWC is the future.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
Question, Ashish.
All right.
Yeah, I have a quick question. So, as you said, like the Visual Force will get decommissioned, but the thing is, like, how we render the PDF in the if there is no Visual Force page. So, is there any way in the Lightning component to do
India,
that?
yeah, you can do. I mean, if you wanted to upload PDFs, you want to render PDF, those things programming you can do in LWC also. You will be seeing static resources and other things. We can do those things.
Also-
Everything that you do with Visual Force, you can do with Lightning.
Okay, and also one more question, like as you did as we move this as an app page, can we also do like something like OmniScript component and all those things or no?
I mean, yes, you can use, I mean, we need to use Velocity also, but this course is more content on LWC side of thing, not on the OmniScript. And by the way, I mean, personally, I haven't worked on the OmniScript. So, I mean, that one, but you can do in Lightning that also.
Yes, so I know that we can do it, but is there any tags or anything that we can cover or no?
I mean, in LWC syllabus, no, we are not covering anything on OmniScript. That is not part of this syllabus. This for training will be focused on LWC primarily only.
Okay.
Okay. Any other doubts, anyone?
I'm fine. Thank you so much, Ashish.
All right, thanks. So thanks, Kishore, thanks, and thanks everyone for joining this session. I mean, Kishore, if you want to add some point, you can. Otherwise, we can wrap up the call.
No, so Masis, actually we are good. As we are planning to start the regular batch within 2 days, we will be notified.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Kishore, and thanks
Thanks,
to
everyone. Thanks.
for
Thanks, Kishore.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.